Hey everyone, welcome to Hot Topics Live. You know what happens every Monday at 2 p.m. here inside the Facebook group and streaming live on YouTube. We get together and chat about a topic that matters to home-based bakers. And today, you guys, we are talking about pricing strategies to help deal with this unstable economy that we have in the United States right now. So if you've been feeling a little bit of anxiety or pressure because you're wondering how you're going to continue to create this reliable income, this predictable sales from your baking, then this episode of Hot Topics Live will interest you, because today I'm going to be sharing 3 strategies that you can use to help you survive and navigate an unstable economy. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into this topic because I have a lot that I want to share, and I know that this is going to be very actionable for you, and you're going to want to put these tips into place right away. So let me start by sharing just a little backstory about the recession of 2008. So if you have been around the block for a while, or if you've been baking, then maybe you're familiar. Maybe you were baking back in 2008 when the United States had an actual recession. But if you're not, and you're just sort of wondering, like what is going on, we're not in a recession right now, but there are signs that may happen. And to be totally honest with you, I am married to an economist, and so we have lots of conversations about what the state of the economy is and how that relates to people's spending. So it's always fun if you could be a fly on the wall in our house. It's a little nerdy at times, but I do love to stay on top of those type of topics just because I feel like it's so relevant with your customers' spending patterns and buying patterns. So let's talk about it and understand it a little bit more. So back in 2008, we had a recession in the United States that lasted for 18 months. And during that time, the economy was in a slump. And if you remember, the housing market went bust and unemployment was on the rise. And it was a pretty dark time for a lot of people, except that during that time, I had just expanded into my second location, and my sales were actually continuing to do okay. I would have customers come into my store on a daily basis and say, how are you surviving during the recession? And I have to confess that I didn't even know that we were in a recession. That's what happens when you're not married to an economist, I guess. I wasn't married to my husband at the time, and I just didn't really have conversations about the economy. So I was so busy doing my thing that I never noticed that there was a recession going on. And I had a bit of tunnel vision when it came to baking, and that's okay because that is probably what kept me afloat. But I did start to notice this sort of trend. When my customers would come into the store, they would say, aren't you affected by the economy? And then they would spend $40 on a dozen cupcakes, without really connecting those two things. And I started to notice that during times of more extreme budgeting within a family and more being conscious of your spending, that people didn't stop buying their treats. They didn't stop coming in for cupcakes and things like that. What they did do is focus more on quality. So if you're going to spend $40 on something, you really want to get your money's worth and not regret that purchase. So that was really my big takeaway for how the cupcakes kept selling despite what was going on in the news and despite, people's budgets having maybe been tightened up a little bit. They were still buying. But the fact that I sold a really high quality product made them feel better about their purchase. At least that's the way I think that it happened. So So let's talk about how you can, um, let's say, recession-proof your baking business. Now, we're not in a recession right now, so I'm just loosely using the word recession-proof, but we've all felt it. It's that feeling when you go to the grocery store and you're buying your supplies, and every time you're getting more product, the prices are going up, and hopefully you're not baking unsold product, because if you are, then that's an even bigger loss. But what I want to focus on today are 3 tips that you can put into place to make sure that you're making money on the items that you do sell. So my tip number 1 is to change your product size. And what this is, I call it shrinkflation. I heard it on the news a while back, and I love the term when we apply it to baked goods because it translates perfectly. So here's what shrinkflation is. This is like if you've ever noticed that you have a favorite product that you're loyal to, like maybe it's your brand of laundry soap. You know you love this one brand, you always buy it, and you notice the packaging changing and that it's a little bit smaller, but it's still the same price and it's still the same product and you're pretty loyal to it, but the amount that you get is a little bit less. That is shrinkflation. And so one strategy that you can use to recession-proof your bakery is to change the size of your product without changing the price. So the technique is to choose an item on your menu that's not really meeting your profit goals right now. So like you're not keeping enough of the money when you sell this. And you can decrease the size of the product. So a cookie would be a good example, and charge the same price for it. So now you've made more profit. So I'm going to use my shortbread cookie recipe. It makes 10. When I mix this batch, it makes 10 cookies, and they're pretty big, and I sell them for $1.75 each cookie. When I sell it like that, and I've used my pricing calculator, I know that the gross profit that I make on that cookie is 47%. And that's a little low for me. I like my profits to be over 50%. That means half of the amount that I'm selling it for, I get to keep after I pay for the groceries, after I pay for my labor, after I pay for my overhead. I get to keep 50% of my sale. So that's my goal for myself. But with this cookie the way it is, I'm only keeping 47% of my sale. So now when I bake those cookies, instead of cutting them into 10 pieces, I'm going to cut them into 12 pieces. I'm going to change my yield without changing the recipe at all. And now I'm going to still sell them for $1.75. But when I make 12 cookies from that batch, my new profit margin is 52%. And I haven't actually announced that I'm raising my prices at all. So, do you have something on your menu that you can do that with, where you can change the size a little bit and still charge the same price? If you do, then you can keep more profit for yourself. All right, now speaking of profit, let's talk about showcasing your highest profit item. In order to showcase your highest profit item, you really do need to know how much profit you make on your products. So if you need a refresher on that, then I will link one of my pricing trainings in the comments, and you can definitely go back and brush up on the actual technique to price your recipe and understand how much profit you're making. So if you know your profits and you look at your different recipes, then you know that some items are more profitable for you. And you may even already have a feeling, like, for example, you may have, a brown butter blondie on your menu that uses, real butter, and it's expensive, and it has butterscotch chips, and those are expensive. Maybe you just have one of those recipes. It's a little bit more expensive to make. And you also have something else on your menu that's a lot less expensive to make, like a big, thick and chewy Rice Krispie treat square. those cost a little bit less to make. So even if you haven't taken the time to do all of your recipe pricing, you can go with your gut and say, I know that my ingredients for this is my moneymaker right there. Okay, so what you want to do is showcase that item. You want to like promote that one when you're running a special. You want to sell more of the items that cost you the least amount to make. So you get to keep more money in the end. Now, when I'm baking, I know what's on my menu that is high profit, and that is a toffee chocolate chip cookie. It's a high profit cookie because I make my own toffee and I mix it in bulk, and it just cuts down on my labor that way, and I end up keeping like almost 60% in profits. So that is the cookie that I promote when I'm having a sale. I have other cookies on my menu, but that's the one I want to sell because I make the most profit on that one. So what do you have on your menu that you can try to sell more of and keep more of those sales for a profit? All right, so that's tip number 2, to showcase your high profit margin items. All right, and then tip number 3 is what I call look for the low-hanging fruit. If you've heard this term low-hanging fruit, it just means like the easiest, most obvious choice. And when you're trying to sell your baked goods, so much of our energy in, promoting things on social media and creating posts and trying to get sales is spent trying to convince somebody that your baked goods are the best. They're fresh, they're tasty, they're made to order, they're customizable, whatever your unique situation is. You spend a lot of time, I'm guessing, putting energy into pointing all of those things out. But what if you looked for the customers who are all ready to buy? So here's a couple of examples of what I would call the low-hanging fruit in a bakery scenario. So if it is birthday cakes that you make, well, people have birthdays, on a regular basis, not just for your own family, but for your coworkers and things like that. So if you're selling a product that people will want, or you sell multiple things, but one of them is just a clear choice, like everybody always has birthdays. So birthday cakes are something that you don't have to convince somebody that they need. They know they need a birthday cake. They just haven't figured out who to buy it from. So if you're out there talking about these easy decisions, like if you need a cake, I'm your person. You're not talking them into a cake, right? How about things like stocking stuffer treats? That last week before Christmas, everybody's scrambling to put that stocking stuffer together. And if you have these, maybe it's a cute little 3-pack of decorated sugar cookies, or I always bake loaded, we call it white trash popcorn. It's just delicious white chocolate and popcorn, and it's so good. My kids love it. It's got some peppermint in there. But you can make these little stocking stuffers, and people already know they're out looking for stocking stuffers. So your product is not convincing them that they need a stocking stuffer. They've already made that decision. You're just showing them how you can solve their problem. Teacher gifts is another one. When you fall into that season of the year when it's time to give teacher gifts, maybe it's the last day of school, anything like that, look for those holidays where people are already going to be spending. Nurses Appreciation, Administrative Assistance Day. These are those types of holidays where you're not trying to talk somebody in to needing something. They already know they need it. I'll give you sort of a other side of the coin scenario so you can see the difference. Who all did a 4th of July sale? Let me know in the comments if you did a 4th of July sale. Now, I always find 4th of July a really hard holiday to base a sale around because it's not really associated with any baked good in particular. And if you don't have a really solid customer base, then selling on 4th of July is like trying to convince somebody that you want a pie or you want these cookies for the 4th of July when they're not naturally thinking of pies and cookies on the 4th of July. So that's kind of the flip side, where you're really trying to create this sale where there wouldn't have been a transaction before. The low-hanging fruit scenario is you see that these people are going to be buying for this scenario, and you're going to step in with something that is the perfect solution for what they're looking for. So looking for the low-hanging fruit can help you out in your business when you're deciding when to have your next sale. So basing your sales holiday to holiday to holiday, really look at those holidays and think, are these holidays that people are already planning on buying baked goods for? Or am I just like artificially creating this need for a baked good? So I want you to go and look at these 3 tips and figure out which one is going to work best for you to focus on this week. That's your action tip. Are you going to change the size of your packaging, shrinkflation, or change the size of your product? Are you going to showcase that one item on your menu that makes the most profit? Or are you going to focus your sales on an already existing need? So there are 3 ways that you can manage the recession proofing of your business. When you fall into one of those 3 tips and really implement it, you're going to be creating sales where other bakers are not. And that is what it's all about, my friends. All right, now if you're looking for more strategies for getting profit, creating profit in your business, predictable income means more money in your pocket at the end of the month, then guess what? I have another new freebie for you guys. So I want to share my smart pricing strategies. It's a free guide that I created a while back. It was so good when I made it that I thought, let me dust this one off and bring it out again, because who doesn't need a little help with profitability during these, questionable, unstable economic times. So if you'd like to get your hands on that smart pricing guide, it's 5 strategies for keeping more profit from your bakery sales, then I'm going to drop a link in the comments and you can grab a copy for yourself and learn about the other strategies that are available to bakers to save more money at the end of the month. So if you want to get your hands on that free guide, just type in the word SMART, S-M-A-R-T, SMART, because that's what we are, smart bakers. Type in the word SMART in the comment section and I will make sure that you get the link to go download that freebie. I will also drop the link so that you can do it while you're watching. So either way, I want to make sure that you get this awesome resource that's available to you. And let me know how you guys like it. All right, thanks for watching. And you know the drill, every Monday, 2 p.m. here in the Facebook group or live on YouTube. I'll be back next week with another Hot Topics Live. Thanks for watching, everyone.